Hey guys, so last video this week we're going to talk about the Freedom Riders. These are people that took buses, took cars, and traveled from the north into the south where segregation was at its worst in order to fight for freedom. And so we're going to watch a short little video explaining the Freedom Riders, and I'll come back on and talk a little bit more about them.
The critics call it superb, remarkable, a stunning accomplishment. Just sit on the front of a bus, people could try to burn you to death. Powerful, inspiring, about as essential as you gets. Winner of 3 Primetime Emmys, Freedom Riders.
Your parents tell you, don't start something that you can't finish. Finish it.
On American Experience.
So that was a trailer for a show, a movie about Freedom Riders and what their life was like and what they went through. And you could see some of the violence they faced. You could see what they were willing to do to get what they wanted, which was equality for all people. So the first Freedom Ride was, very dangerous. It's something that had never been done before, and they worked for it for a long time. And it was done on May 4th, 1961. 7 African Americans and 6 whites who were members of Congress of Racial Equality, which is CORE that we talked about in the last video, left Washington, D.C. on 2 public buses. They planned on riding the buses into the Deep South to test the Supreme Court ruling that segregation on interstate buses was illegal, Morgan versus Virginia in 1946. And so this was made illegal by the federal government, that you could not segregate people on buses, on interstate buses, but they wanted to test to see if that law could actually be enforced in the South. So there were only minor problems during the first few days, but during the second week of the trip, the riders were seriously beaten. One of the buses was burned outside of Alabama, and once inside Alabama, dozens of white people attacked the riders. The United States Justice Department helped the Freedom Riders escape from Birmingham to New Orleans. The leaders of CORE did not want to give up, so they sent a new group of volunteers to join the 2 remaining volunteers, and the trip continued. When they arrived in Montgomery, they were violently attacked by a mob of over 1,000 people. As the riders continued to Mississippi, they suffered further attacks but received more media attention, and additional freedom rides were planned for that summer. And so even though it was dangerous, even though they knew that they were risking their lives, they did it because it got a lot of attention and showed people what life was really like for African Americans and other minority groups in the South. And so it wasn't just African American people going on this. There were people that of different races, white people as well, that were fighting to help get equality. And they took these journeys, these freedom rides, to get freedom and to get equality for these people. In November of 1961, the Interstate Commerce Commission banned segregation in airports and buses and train stations. And so their freedom rides were successful, even though, like I said, they were very dangerous, and it led to a lot of damage. It led to some deaths as well. It was successful, and it was something that had a lasting impact on the civil rights movement and the United States. Thanks, guys.